Gridiron Warrior podcast is built for strength and football coaches who want to run the best possible programs for their athletes and their communities. Each episode delivers simple, practical coaching advice that transfers straight from the weight room to the field. No theory, no fluff, no fancy words, just real world strategies from coaches that are living it. So you can build stronger, faster, more durable athletes at any level. From the beginning, I've committed to only bringing on sponsors that I myself use and would confidently recommend to any coach. And that's why I'm fired up to partner with Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the platform I use to write programs, run my own training, and deliver workouts to athletes and whole teams. It's clean, it's coach friendly, and your athletes are actually going to go in the app and use it and enjoy it, compared to some of the other ones that are out there. If you're a strength coach looking for a better way to program and get that information to your athletes, or if you're a coach and you just want, plug and play, ready to go training programs that you don't have to build, Train Heroic is it, okay? And here's the kicker for anyone that is a supporter of the Gridiron Warrior. Start a free 90-day trial of Train Heroic using the link, trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, and I'll drop 2 12-week training programs right into your account so that you don't have to start from scratch. You can start with 2 12-week programs built in there, tweak them, change them, customize them, and get a good feel of using the app. And those will be in there for you, so you can use those. So head to www.trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, start your 90-day free trial, and reply to your welcome email saying that you want those 2 12-week training programs from me, and I'll make sure you get those. If you're a high school coach trying to bring structure and feedback to your jump and speed training, you need to check out the Plow Mat. The switch mat technology is precise, durable, and it's far more reliable than those laser-based systems. More importantly, the feedback is instant. Your jump height, your contact time, RSI, it's all shown on the remote, the controller, and it's logged in their app as well. You can use it every single day as a checkpoint. Are your athletes hitting plow numbers or thresholds? We use it in season to gauge readiness. You can check their ground reaction force and see if their springs are there as well. It's something that you'll bring out and use every single day in the weight room. If you follow Rich Burnett, the founder, you already know that the education piece is big too. He's a high school guy at heart, and so is the company. So, Plow Mat is there to provide everything that we talk about in Gridiron Warrior, actionable results, real service, great customer service, and they're trying to bring jump training to the next level. So happy to support them. Check out the Plow.
Today on the podcast, I have Coach Nick DiMarco from Elon University. Nick and I go way back, obviously being in the CAA together, and he's somebody that I've looked up to for a long time. His department, the way he operates, the way he's been able to level up his career is something that I've been trying to copy here at Rhode Island. So he's been a great friend. He's been a great resource. Obviously, strength and conditioning wise, he's super knowledgeable. But the big thing that we talked about today is his new book, The Director's Manual. Because a lot of my questions for him have always been related on how to be a better boss, how to get more from my program, how to evolve our strength and conditioning department. So this is a great book. Came at a perfect time. Everyone should go out and buy it. So we spend a lot of time talking about some of the ins and outs in this book today. I hope you guys enjoy.
Episode of the Gridiron Warrior podcast. Today, I have Coach Nick DiMarco on the podcast. He is the Assistant Athletic Director for Peak Performance at Elon University. The title is important. We can get into that later. Part of the book, right? Part of the book. We're going to talk about this today. I know this has been buzzing around for good reason on social media, right? The new book that you just put out. Awesome. We'll get into that. But Coach, tell us who you are, how you got there. Maybe the brief stint in the NFL. Everyone loves to hear that story for a little bit, and take it away.
Yeah. So grew up St. Louis. My wife and I both St. Louis natives. Played sports from 3 till I can remember. Still try and participate in golf. So I guess I'm still an athlete to some extent. But always knew I wanted to be a coach. Basically, didn't know what level. Went to William Penn University out of high school. And went there to play football. I was undersized safety. I think I was, or normal size safety, sorry, but undersized D end in high school. Played receiver, was recruited more from offensive side of the ball. Went to William Penn as a safety, moved to linebacker, just ate my way down closer to the line of scrimmage, basically. That first time you get all campus or all access meal plan on campus is a game changer. If you grew up in a family that wasn't like breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything prepped for you, I was like a Pop-Tart and some Cheetos, and I thought I was eating good.
Sometimes the freshman 15 is a good thing.
Yeah, it was for me. Because I think, you're a big guy on the agility games. I know I am as well. The OODA loop side of things, I was always a very good offensive player. And I felt like a good defensive player when my hand was in the dirt, and I was more of the offensive attacker. Like O-line, D-line is the only one where I think the role reversal flips. Like I think the D lineman is more of an attacker. And when I was playing offense, I felt very comfortable. When I was playing defense, hand in the dirt, I always felt comfortable. As a safety and then as a linebacker, I always felt like my athleticism was here and my ability to express it was somewhere here. Like something did not process. That is not where my strengths were. So, luckily through a good strength coach and being just a psycho from a commitment standpoint, I grew a ton in college. I graduated, and when I had graduated, went to New York Jets, Baltimore Ravens as a 3-4 outside linebacker, which at the time was like undersized as 6'3", 260 pounds. I think I would have been a better fit in today's game, sadly. But put on 70 pounds in my college experience and through, 20 pounds, basically 15 pounds here and there throughout the years, and got exponentially better at football as I moved closer to the line of scrimmage. I was a starting linebacker my redshirt freshman year, came into college academically ineligible because I was a shithead. So I had to sit out my freshman year. Redshirt freshman year, started at middle linebacker, played that year there. My second year, I converted to defensive end about halfway through the year when our DN tore his ACL, and my college roommate was my other Mike linebacker. Was really good. Next guy in, he was better. And they knew I could do some pass rush stuff, moved up there, and I was better immediately at that position. Scott Adams, my roommate, was an unbelievable linebacker. So it just worked for the defense, and luckily it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I finished that year as a D-end, knew the next year I was going to be a full-time D-end, and had a great season. And then one of the few guys from the NII level, this was before grad transferring was a big deal, or obviously the NIL market. So I foregoed my last year coming back to William Penn, just entered the draft, knew I wanted to be a strength coach at some point, no matter what. So had interned at Iowa between my junior and senior year of college. During my time, I had just unbelievable strength coaches. Ike Camberley was my head strength coach for 3 years, as big of a mentor and influence in my life as anyone outside of my parents, and then now my wife and kids, and knew that's what I wanted to do almost within like 4 or 5 months of getting on campus. So I was like, this is a job. This is sick. I want to do this. And then just entrenched that that's what I wanted to do throughout my entire career there. And then John Haugen became my strength coach my senior year. He was an assistant early on. William Penn had an unbelievable setup going. Coach Hamley trained football and basketball. And then we had, I think, 6 GAs that trained all the other teams. I mean, there's still NAIA schools that don't have that quality of a set. And those GAs were incredible. Like Corey Gray was there. He ended up going to Southwestern as head strength coach. Spencer Remick, 2-time world's strongest man competitor, absolute unit, and also a great strength coach who left the field because he wanted to spend more time on his own lifting and actually make money. Smart guy. But a bunch of those guys, Josh Beauregard, Byron Lackey, Colin Kilberg, like those guys let me hang out in the office and learn a ton from them, passed me all their super training books, essentials, whatever it was. And so I was consistently reading, working on my craft as a coach throughout my entire career. And I was lucky. It's a small school. When they would go to the CS conference, they'd give me the keys and I'd run the weight room for like 2 days. And it was my favorite 2 days of the year. And then my junior year, I started training some teams. I trained a women's basketball team, track and field. And again, through those experiences and intern at Iowa between my junior and senior year, I knew that's where I'm going no matter what. So finished up my playing career in, I think, late August of 2014. And Coach Doyle had called me and asked if I'd be interested in a position in Iowa starting in January. Said yes. I was still kind of flying out, doing some tryouts for teams. had a few futures contracts for the next year, but that cycle is just kind of perpetual. Like you can come sign, get cut when they draft people. You just never know what's going to happen through that. And I think I always had a pretty good reality. Like I wasn't a special teams player, wasn't very good at it, sadly. Was a pass rush specialist with a very niche role, and undrafted guys in that role typically just don't last. And when you do the eye test of the room I was in is Terrell Suggs, Elvis Doomerville, Courtney Upshaw, Pernell McPhee, and you're like, I do not do any of the things that these. I'm a good athlete. I'll give myself some respect, but these guys are on a different level than me for sure. And some guys, like a buddy of mine that I've trained forever and is a friend from Iowa, Jake Gervais, he stuck around 6 years in the NFL, won a Super Bowl. Is just a core four special teams guy. Sadly, I just didn't have those skills. Again, that like OODA loop thing, like those aren't my things. I had a niche and sadly was here and needed to be here to capitalize on it. So I think realistically, I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I was like, yeah, I'm all in. I'm not gonna leave. Give me the job. And then so I was at the University of Iowa from 15, which was one of our best seasons ever, 12-0 regular season, Big Ten championship, lost a heartbreaker, and then went to the Rose Bowl and Christian McCaffrey blew the doors off of us. And then 16, 17, we had Outback Bowl, Pinstripe Bowl, very good teams, a lot of great athletes throughout those years. George Kittle, Wirfs, some of those just absolute freak show athletes, Brandon Sheriff early, but just great coaches that I got to work with from both the football staff, the performance staff, great athletes, like just an unbelievable experience. I think a big piece of the book is I knew in the moment that I had a great experience. Like I was being developed. I felt like I was being prepared for the next role. And my mindset has always been preparing one step above what I'm on anyway. So I felt like I was building my portfolio, always thinking about when I'm going to be a director. But as you leave and look back, like it's easier when you reflect on one, as I got exposed to more programs and seeing that that is not even close to the norm. Like we were operating at such a high level that I expected more people to be close to that, and it just wasn't the case. And then two, as you start to train coaches to try and become directors, you realize some of the things that were taking place that you didn't even notice were so impactful down the line. So, obviously just owe a ton of credit to my experience there. Like I wouldn't be who I am without that internship. One, in the internship program, putting me onto good books. I've always been a guy who loved learning and hated education, even though I have a PhD like an idiot. But I loved learning, but didn't know what to read. Like in that internship, it's like we went through Make the Big Time Where You Are, a lot of the John Gordon self-help type books. We read The Slide Edge as a staff. Like there's so many different things, and I learned really what to read to get myself to grow as much as possible. A commitment to learning and a commitment to educating your interns the way that we taught things, et cetera. And then as you move into an assistant, you learn even more stuff of the way the program operates. And so that was obviously hugely impactful. And then 2018, I was hired by Kurt Signetti here at Elon. That team made the playoffs. Obviously, what Kurt has done since then is just truly insane. Nobody in the world could have predicted. But just great coach, great staff. Brian Haynes, the defensive coordinator, was here on that staff. Mike Shanahan, the OC. So many other great coaches on that staff. They're elsewhere at huge programs. So learned a ton in that first year, just trial by fire. Like you think you're prepared for the role. And I felt like I was as much as I could, but there's still a lot to be learned, obviously. And so now we're coming up on, this is my 9th year at the same institution, which is obviously a rarity in this field. I've worked with 2 athletic directors, multiple football coaches, multiple men's basketball coaches, obviously the 14 other coaches outside of those 2 programs on our campus. And I think we've had 24 total staff members that have gone on to leave the program, and then our staff of 6 currently. So it's just been a rewarding process, to say the least, throughout those 8+ years here.
And for the listeners here, our connection, obviously we're in the same conference, we're in the CAA, and I've stolen your stuff from years, you've stolen stuff from me as well. So we've always had those strength and conditioning conversations. But some of the best conversations I've had with you are, stepping into this role myself. I was an assistant, head guy left. I ended up getting the head position. and then working into, okay, I want to be here for a while. This is my home state. My family's here. I want to keep growing. I want to keep evolving this thing. So things like salary negotiations, including or improving our salary pool for our assistants and things like that. You've always been so quick and willing to share those things with me. And a lot of that gets covered in this book. Obviously, you have a ton of resources out there uh, revolving around strength and conditioning and things like that. But this is, and again, we're going to talk about this book the entire time. These are the things that, you know, I know you do this with your staff. I do this with my staff of trying to get people to go to the next level. They need to start thinking about these systems and these things in place that you just don't learn about, or maybe you're not as exposed to, like you said, depending on where you are, to some of these higher level concepts and things when eventually you're going to get put in that seat. And, I always say, like, get in the seat first because you'll figure it out. You'll figure it
Yeah.
out trial by fire. But, if you have a resource like this, it can make your life a lot easier, especially if you have great mentors as well. I had a blast going through this because my mentor at Merrimack College, Mike Kamal, is another. He interned at Iowa as well, but he has Mike Boyle background, so there's the systematic process of getting teams through there. Springfield College is another one where you got to be on top of your stuff and have a system in place. And a lot of these things that we talked about in here are things that we were already doing at Merrimack College at a high level in terms of making sure our programs are standardized. We had 6 grad students, and we would, revolving door, have 6 new grad students on staff every year. It was a 1-year master's program. So you can't afford to be unorganized. You have to
No,
have
you can't have a
everything
new
in place.
program every time. Like, there's going to be subtle changes. There's going to be personality differences. That's my biggest issue with the way a lot of directors operate is you want autonomy and your staff to be able to operate the way they want to. It has to fit a system because you're ultimately serving athletes and coaches. And if an athlete has 4 different programs in 4 years, everybody would say the worst thing for your progress long term is to program up. Like, oh, this didn't really work. I'll just go do a new one. Yet we do it in our field just because we don't have those things built into place to let them succeed and build around the program that already exists.
And not even from a strength and conditioning, lifting standpoint, strength standpoint, power standpoint. If you want your department to grow, you need to have consistency in these systems in place. And when coaches, move from program to program and they don't stay long enough to maybe, it doesn't happen overnight in changing salary pools and things like that. But again, if you're there long enough and you want to grow and develop not just the athletes, but you want to develop your department, these are the things you need to work on. A big question going through this that I have, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is obviously the concept of you can't work on the system if you're in the system, right? If you are on the floor, and that's the reality of the situation sometimes is, you might be on the floor 10 hours a day and you have 10 teams that you got to coach. It's hard to then take a step back and say, well, how am I going to improve my budget for next year? How am I going to get my assistants paid better? How am I going to add another on staff? How am I going to carve out the time to work on those things? So for somebody who, they're the head person, they're director, they have a situation set up, but they want to make their situation better. How do you carve out the time to work on the system, not just work in the system?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I first heard that from Kier, who, or Hayden, is a genius. Um, and I go different way than some people. Like, I don't, ultimately, my goal would be if I could still live in this current place, like I grow up here and there was a football team transplanted right here, or MLB team, or some sort of professional organization. I was a director. Intellectually, professional challenge, I think would be the coolest job on the planet. In that role, I think there has to be built-in skin game. When you're only lose touch with what is going on, I think that's a miss. Like, a pro touch must get in the game, wants to climb to that spot. You no longer have skin in the game. People that you're like, you're checked out. And but it's with your allocation of time at 80% coaching, 20% you're grinding on, if we're doing report publish of any kind and you're doing all these remedial tasks, you have no time to focus on the system at large. Obviously you miss the mark. Like, your goal is in a lot of places, sad director of football, like myself and you, if you're a director of basketball, that is a heavy commitment. And those people rise to those roles because those command high salaries typically. And a lot of places have shifted obviously to a director having some smaller teams, which I think is probably the right model in a lot of ways. Without a time on the floor, in my opinion, keep your hours under 20 per on the floor, then you have the time that you need to do those others. And also offloading tasks that don't need your plate. Love the Radrix that's project management. So responsible, accountable, consultant informed, and I'm ultimately responsible for everything happens under our peak performance umbrella. So nutrition, sports science, sports, if something fails, it's on me. In each subcategory, somebody else has ownership and is the work, whether it's them directly or it's them leading students or them leading in turn. Jay Carroll's in charge of equipment. Brian is in charge of our team builder, making sure the exercise menus are up to date and managing that total. Cam does all of our nutrition stuff. Luke does sports science. Evan does an internship. Complete ownership in those areas. They are top to bottom. I'm responsible at the top and accountable if something goes wrong. Also, they're building and trying to elevate themselves for that director role, learning those skills, trying to rotate those skills to where they get exposure to all of them. I have more time, but I can pawn that stuff off to the bad way, but I'm consulted or informed on those things instead of being the owner of those. I think that's where it's so hard to release ownership whenever it's on you, before you have to build those standards and blueprints for them to succeed. Or give it overstepping your boundaries, micromanage them. You're letting them do their thing to where you can think about those things in place and get around, make sure your stuff is developing. And it is a fine balance for sure. And it also depends on the teams you have, but just be really strategic in your time to the floor, I think is obviously important.
I do the same thing. I pass let's say it's the internship curriculum or facility upkeep and equipment. Those are things that when it comes down to putting the purchase in, I'll put the purchase in and I'll go up there and I'll smooth them over and make sure that we get the things we need. But I can't sit there and count the bands every week and see, do we need to order more bands or are we good? Those are things that if I can pass those to my assistants, they're going to be better. They're going to learn more. And at this level, if they stay because they enjoy the responsibility that they're given, they have a great quality of life and they stay, that's awesome. But if they leave, I've started to give them some of an inside look of what it takes to be a director. Now, they may not see every conversation. And I think as a director, you can't come downstairs and say, oh, man, this admin meeting, this happened. And they don't need to know all of the pains that may come with being a director, but they need to know some of the responsibilities and tasks and learn how to do it themselves so that when they do the role, hopefully they do, right? We want to see all of our assistants grow and take that next step. Hopefully we've prepared them by giving them some of these smaller tasks. And you're right, it is a hard balance of I want to offload some of these tasks, but I don't want to make it seem like I just don't want to do the work. So I tell all the time, this is your project, you handle it, you let me know when you're ready to report it back to me and give it back to me for final approval. Awesome. I'll do it myself. And I'm very clear on that. I will outwork anybody on the staff if I need to. I've shown that from time to time, so they know it will happen if things don't get done. But we again, the systems in place, the structures in place. They know how we want to operate. Hiring the right people is key too. Bringing in people that can get the job done, and if they can't, that they're willing to work and learn, because then I can teach you. I can get you up to speed. That's not hard. But if you can't do the job, that's a different issue itself.
100%.
Other questions? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think hiring is a big piece of the puzzle, and you talk about it in the book of, you want to. Interns are great because you get more time with them. You get to see them, or even a paid intern position where you get to see them work for a while, see them grow and develop, and get a little more trust before you hire them for a full-time role. I think that's a step along the way. If somebody's out there and they can't do that though, they don't have that position. When it comes to hiring people, what are you looking for?
Yeah. Obviously, the internship is
this on multiple different presentations or podcasts. It's our internship program is everything, because if you have someone for 3 months plus the they work, I think everyone knows, because they probably internship where there's a whole representation of yourself. Like, you get part-time, I mean, making this is, and do I really want to be up at 3:30? They grind. They like, no, send up $1 million or do whatever the work is that you got to do. And trying to make ours very educational based. There's still opportunities to coach. Just see if they stay in it for the entire process, if they get their projects in on time, how detailed their assignments are, and how it grows a coach too. Because I'm big on just the mall approach, model, assist, leave. And so we're Station Rapids station. I coached the first one, the second one. You're an intern, Scott. You're teaching this one. I've modeled it. Now I'm assisting you. I'm going to watch you, make sure you don't fail. You know, you're doing really well. Let's take a speed prep. You take this block over here, explain it to the freshman. Like, people rise their tasks unless they've proven they can do the lower level task first. And you can leave their own. That's where I think those interns have proven they are capable of that. It's so easy to hiring. Because they already, I had a 3-month long experience with them of how we do everything. Seeing it, let me see our person, taught and watched. Now it's their time to do it. So then they're completely prepared for the position. We have to hire outside goes to stop. They can the random people. I'm missing people that really understand Jeff Jones. If I call somebody like they have something A plus, will I still get background info on them and make sure it's a good fit? Yes, but they are able to go to for that person, and they're like, I guarantee you, he is gonna be awesome. That's number two. Like, if someone I trust, I know is running a program, says hire this person. Well, it's worked out. Like Hunter Bell was one where he saw baseball. It's was like awesome. We've had guys just all great. Like, coaches his ass off, wants to listen, and then Cam interviews him. He's like, yeah. No, he's just like, no, I didn't like. He's got like country boy accent. He's got like, and you're like, is he interested in this? But like, he didn't get a great viewer. And so I called him. He's like, yeah, you know, he's the world's reviewer. Promise you, if he's on the floor, he's gonna be great. And so I to begin, I like what assistants we've ever had. He's just unbelievable. Jordan Newsful was very similar. Wyatt, he's reserved. Gosh, is this guy gonna look amazing? And you watch his teams train, and they train unbelievable. And same thing to Reinhardt and multiple other people do that well, and we're like, hey, he'll be fantastic. And again, one of the best assistants we ever had, changed a lot of, helped us grow as a pro. It comes down to people you trust vouching for those people. I think that's kitchens in any field.
And then our third tier, which I don't think we're had to get to, be just a true open posting it. Let's see you get, and go through a thorough interview process to find and evaluate people. And I huge up Patrick Lencioni idea look like that's the ultimate roadmap to set interviews. Humble, hungry, smart, like you said. Find the right person, can teach them this stuff very easily if they're enough intelligence. Most important, EQ. Can they talk to people well? Are they hungry, willing to learn, and then are they humble enough to do well in that? And they're high character human is no one priority.
Quick break. This episode is powered by Endorphin. Endorphin is a performance nutrition company built for high school, college, or professional athletes who take their training seriously. Their patented FinTech bottles right here come preloaded with clean, third-party certified, so NSF, protein. All you have to do is add liquid, add water, add milk, whatever, shake it and go. No blender, no mess, no excuse for not getting your protein in. It's trusted by over 150 college and pro teams because it works in actual training environment, on the road, in the weight room, post practice, when recovery matters most. Endorphin is there. So if you need a discount, you want team pricing, reach out to me or check out Endorphin online and tell them that you're interested in team pricing. All right. Now back to the show. I'm in agreement. I use my network and lean on them, and when they go to bat for somebody, I know that they're serious about it, and that's a good recommendation. I would be remiss to not mention though that one of my best assistants ever, Noah Meyer, he was a shot in the dark. He's somebody that, I put an open position. I said, I'm going to make this an open position. I'm not going to just lean on my network and try and find a name and do a quick hire. I'm going to take my time. And yes, did people go to bat for him that I know? Sure, no doubt about it. But he took control of the situation. And when he applied, not only did he apply, he put details in there that, he put Kingston, Rhode Island. He put stuff about our program. Hey, I just found out that URI is the number one ranked institution in New England. I saw that this team won a conference championship, and that's all in his resume and cover letter. I'm like, this guy wants to be here. It's not a boilerplate resume and cover letter. He took some time to look into it and said, wow, you just got a new volleyball coach, and we got on the phone. We had a conversation. He said one of your teams would be volleyball, this and that and that. And then he went back and did a follow up and looked at volleyball and looked at, oh, you got a new coach. I'm excited. It looks like she came from here or there, and you could tell he wanted to be here. My other assistant, Jack Hertz, he applied a couple times. One time he didn't get it just by the nature of the position. So I always say that too for people out there that are looking for jobs. Like, if you want it, go get it. Put in the work, and the fact, how hard you're willing to work for a job tells me how hard you're willing to work when you have the job itself.
No doubt.
Here's a quote that one of our ADs mentioned one time here at Rhode Island. I'm sure it feels the same way sometimes at Elon, but you need to have aggressive patience. And the idea is that, things do not happen quickly. Obviously, being a state school here, there's a lot of hoops we got to jump through. A lot of things take time. Um, Rome was not built overnight, obviously, but you also can't just be passive, and you can't be upset when things don't go your way. You still need to be aggressive about the vision you have for your program or your department, and you're going to get there. And just know that it's going to take maybe a little bit longer than what you would like. So, in terms of in the book, I know you mentioned the nutrition department starting out with chocolate milks and working its way up, or it could be, if you're a program that doesn't have access to sports science technology or things like that, or even if it is just a staffing situation where you don't have enough staff yet, and you're going to bang on the drum to get more staffing. What are your thoughts on that? On evolving your program over time, and really, it's getting admin to financially support some of these bigger projects that you want to do. And that's not something that you can't just turn around and say, oh yeah, here's the money you need to start your sports science department.
Yeah.
Those things take time. So how do you build those relationships, and how do you, in the long term, get the things you want to take your program to another level?
Yeah, I think reciprocity, like mental model from one of Shane Parrish's books, is like the ultimate thing for me. Like, if you show value, you can get value returned to you. So I think it starts there. Like, you have to do a great job first. If you aren't running a great department, it's going to be very hard to get those things that you want. Two, you have to be able to actually speak the language. And that comes down to showing value. Like, we shouldn't expect administrators, coaches, or even athletes to fully understand everything it is do. We need to make clear what some of our KPIs are, have a clear evaluation system for what we do, and then be able to present how we are sitting. And I think that comes down mostly to, you provide a great service to the athletes take it to the coaches say, hey, this trip has been unbelievable. The athletes are really feeling like this is making a significant improvement in their performance. That goes to the administrators. Like, ultimately, when a administrator is looking at things, it's, well, how do the athletes and coaches perceive this service being given to them? And able to
that. I think that's the easiest way to increase your value. And then, like you said, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's just wearing people down to an extent, not in a negative way. It's just people will ask a question and it gets turned down and like a no today is a no in a month or a no in a year. It's continuing to reframe and show the value as much as you can, sell it a different way, or just continue to sell over and over on why it's important. And the longer you do it and the better relationship you've built up, like that kind of capital and the chips that you have in your favor, the longer you've done it, you can cast those things and get some of the things that you want. So I think it just comes down to proving your value as much as you can, defining what it is, and then being able to sell that vision to other people.
Our previous athletic director here, he told me when I took over the position, he said, the biggest thing is I don't want anything from your department coming up to me that's negative. I don't want to hear about bad experiences in the weight room. I don't want to hear about, you know, complaints or things like that from sport coaches. So the less negative that you can get sent upstairs, the better. On the flip side, it's great when we're doing a good job and we're getting good reviews at the end of the year from our student athletes or our coaches or stuff. But you also need to be your own biggest advocate, and that's something that I've had to learn. Now, getting a seat at the table at admin meetings, everyone is so focused on, for good reason, their world, their role. I hate the idea of silos, but people are in their silos. They have their 9 to 5, and they're not thinking about the fact that, we want to get this weight room remodeled or we want to, build this sports science department. They're not worried about that because they're so worried about their own job right now. So you have to be your own advocate, continue to go up to those meetings and yeah, keep getting the no's, but they keep hearing about it. And eventually those no's are going to turn into, okay, let's think about this. How can we do this? Or maybe there is a windfall and some money becomes available to get something done that you've been trying to get done for a long time. And if you've been doing good things, it'll come your way. So um, it's one of those things that we have a hard time in this field, um, promoting ourselves, pumping ourselves up, and acknowledging like, hey, we're doing a good job in here, and this is exactly how we're doing it. So having KPIs and having markers and indicators to clearly define what that is, because that's the other thing too, is admin have no idea, um, what a good job down in the weight room looks like.
100%. I mean, to your point too, like the first athletic director that I worked with here, very similar without saying it. All he really cared about was if I could eliminate a sport coach coming to him with a problem because of us, we were providing value. The biggest that we made was like even as little as included in there, I don't think, but our weight room said that no part in redesign weight room. I had no part designing building. Our weight room sits right under our administration office. So if we absolutely blare the music at 10:30, a call with the president of the university, and it's just young boy MBA in the background blasted. Like that's a terrible look for him and everyone involved. So it's like only thing he said to me was like, "Hey, keep that weight room music down." I'm like, "Yes, sir, get it done." So we said, "Draw the music. Would the training environment be a little better if the music was bumped?" Sure. Is it a better value for the department to have it at a mild volume? Absolutely. Like you got to pick your win strategically. And as insignificant as that feels, it was significant because people would just disregard them year after year. It's like, okay, if that's really important to them, that's an easy fix on our part. And same thing. You don't want a sport coach going to them about a scheduling conflict or, athlete feels like they're not getting the service that they want. If you can come in and alleviate all the negatives, that is the ultimate positive.
No doubt. I think the last part here, I don't want to much time here because I want people to leave and go buy the book and go read the book. But you and I are on the same wavelength of once you've got the system set up, you have a little bit more time to take care of yourself. And I think as strength coaches, we're all not making Nick Saban money, but if you have opportunities to work on things that excite you and spark your craft. For me, it's the Gridiron Warrior stuff and helping high school programs out there and do a better job. I know you've got your hands in a lot of different projects as well, whether it's the CrossFit stuff or some of the other projects you're working on there. Um, But sometimes I think strength coaches we're a little gun shy when it comes to doing things for ourselves. So just what are your thoughts on that? And what's your opinion on, it is okay to do things outside of work for yourself.
100%. Yeah. I think that's just why most people burn out too, is it's all about this is all I can do. One, they end up in overwork. Obviously, they pick a job that they probably should take in where it's 15 teams, $30,000. Like, yeah, no shaker, I'm happy. Like, not the right job. Like, one final chapter, or yeah, the last chapter is lesson on game theory is the very first subsection. In a manipulative way, like they call cooperative play in game theory, you need to be so strategic and intentional in the jobs that you take, because people end up in that stink, that if you had a good mentor or you had been calculated in steps ahead, somebody could have told you that was a dead end road right out of the gate. And they don't get into it with bad intentions. It's just bad understanding of the way that things operate overall. So I think that's the starting point number one. Like, you can't have extra time to do these things if your job does literally consume your entire life. But two, I think you're better any profession when you have outside hobbies. Like, if you invest time in your family, invest time in special projects, like the things that make me good at this job are things that can make me money elsewhere through just leadership, program, etc. Why wouldn't you capitalize on those things? You could, and you have the time for it. I think people will see a role like yours or your role or mine, where it's taken years to build out and have that ability to do this, where you have the stuff in place, you have the structure. For me, it's once my kids went back or into elementary school, and there's just a time where they're gone throughout the day, and it's like, well, I just want to work on stuff, and this is an interest of mine. So I think it's having the time, number one, but two, not being scared to go out there and use this that you have. Like, in no other profession, you see people so terrified of making money for themselves when they have skills. It's just like a certain built-in part of this profession that we enjoy being underpaid and overworked for some reason. So that is obviously starting point number one. There's a lot of people that want to learn, grow, etc. If your passion aligns with an area of a gap or anything like that, like, you should go attack it full steam ahead. But also being respective of, to get in those positions, there's probably a time where you don't have any time for that. Someone sees you and they're like, oh, I want to do that. Like, if you're the fifth assistant and you're 22 years old, like, sure, do that if you are already grinding and being excellent at what you're doing. But that's got to be priority one. I want to get to a different position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would not have been able to do these things 5 years ago. It's just something that, because I've put so much work in at Rhode Island and it's set up now and we're in a great spot, I have time to work on that. I have time to continually to improve what we're doing here, but I also have more time for myself to do things that excite me. And, like this podcast, for example, is something I've been able to go talk to other coaches, network with them. Obviously, it's good for me, but at the same time, it's also going to make our program better as well. The conversations that I have. Uh, I threw out there the Q&A in terms of what questions people had. Somebody said, if the NCAA changed their hours and had unlimited hours, what would you do differently? And I know your answer is get a little bit more involved with sport coaches, and that definitely ties into the summer summit that I'm having here on July 18th. I got to throw a little shout out for that. Trying to change the way that conferences run, because I'm so sick of, you go there, you sit down, you pull out your notebook, the presentation is boring. Halfway through, you're on your phone anyways. You're just watching PowerPoints the whole time. You just want to go back and look at the PowerPoints later. And then you're like, why did I spend my money on this? So we're trying to flip the script, and we're going to bring in people, no PowerPoints, all hands on. Take us through it, right? Take us through how to do warm up. I'm doing a whole neck training masterclass, because you can watch all the stuff in the world, but until someone's put hands on you to do some manual neck, you don't know how to do it correctly. We got some football, and the other part to it too is I'm bringing in football coaches as well, because I think for high school you have to wear many hats and you want to learn as many skills as possible. But selfishly, I want to see how Dante Scarnecchia coaches up offensive linemen. because I'm going to sit there and, it may not work perfectly. It won't translate to what I do on a squat. How he interacts with people is going to make me a better coach. I'm going to learn something from him there. So, I know that the answer is you'd probably be around with, let the sport coaches have more control. And that's something that a lot of strength coaches aren't willing to say. If you had more time, most strength coaches would say, well, I want to do this in the weight room. I want to add this in. I want to do more of this. But you're the opposite. You're saying spend more time with your coach and get better at the sport.
Yeah. You and I are both pretty big on the agility games. I know Michael Graggs, it's a sorting, does an incredible job.
That stuff. Like over the past few years, we have done our lowest amount of that type of work solely because of the NCAA rules where like you're allowed to use a football for certain activities. The coaches can be involved on certain things. We're getting representative football work with our football staff, which is what they're here to do. They're going to coach if they have the specific what they do to improve that. They should be able to do those things at a high level with their position groups. Now, was unlimited hours. The things I would add is not necessarily more training. Like more is not better. I think Kurt Signetti has shown that in what he's done to Indiana, and some smart coaches out there have proven that. But say the needle, or more time for like psychological development, more stuff, whether it's nutritional resources, things like, where it's like if we have 8 hours, we're not going to not waste, but we're not going to spend an hour on this in a meeting. We have so many physical things that we've got to accomplish in that 8 hours. And then the jump from 8 hours to 20 hours is insane, just a disservice by the NCAA rules wise. So when you get into June and July, some sort of a step up progression, I think that is again leaning more on the football, because we're going from 8 hours to 10 to 12 to 14, 16, 18 to 20 hours. A lot of that is much football and meetings and stuff that you can do ahead of camp would better prepare you for those camp phases. We're doing extra sprints, extra conditioning. We are able to fit in all that stuff pretty well already.
If I had unlimited hours, I would spend 3 of them on a team breakfast, a team lunch, and a team dinner, and make sure they eat 3 meals a day.
Budget for
Yes,
that too.
and they're hanging out together. They're coming together at the dinner table as a team, and we're getting our nutritional calories in for the day, because I think I could probably get more out of those 3 hours than 3 more hours in the weight room every day, no doubt about it. This I'm not just trying to plug your book, but I'm telling you, this is something that every strength coach needs. We can get this on Amazon. That's probably the number one place to go get this thing. Go get it on Amazon. They can get the Kindle right away, or, I really do. I'm an old school guy. I think the book is something that needs to be on the bookshelf. You need to actually highlight things. You got to absorb it. And I think you absorb it better in the book. So I love that you did that instead of doing a PDF, because I think 9 times out of 10 people don't read the PDF. So they want to get that. They want to get on Amazon. If they want to, they want to see more of what you guys are doing, where can we do that?
Yeah, the voice is just my personal Instagram.
On there about once a week. Our staff on the Elon performance page, staff member posts 1 time per week. So we're pumping out 5, 6, some sort of educational type content on our Elon performance page. I think that's just at Elon performance. And then recently started writing on Substack once the book was finished up and in its kind of final edit stages. Is just something else, is a good challenge. I enjoy putting that stuff out there. So you can follow me on Substack as well at Nick DiMarco.
Nick, you are the man. I appreciate you coming on the Gridiron Warrior podcast. I appreciate everybody for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want to keep getting better, I encourage you to check out my new community, the Gridiron Warrior Insiders. Got it right here on the phone. The app is clutch. There's so many things in there that I think you'll find valuable. We have the weekly film study where you can go live with me, ask any questions you want. There's no Q&A, no big deal. I always have a topic that we're going to hit on every single week, and we record those too if you can't make it. We have the Wildcat webinar. That's where I call somebody else in to run the offense, and they come in and they bring a presentation about something that they're an expert in and give us some fresh insight, new information. I have unreleased podcasts. There's about 10 or 15 that haven't gone live yet. You can listen to them early before anyone else. We have the equipment room, so discounts. whether it's Train Heroic, Plyomat, OVR, or even my own courses. You have discounts in the equipment room. Okay, the free safety, anything that I want to throw in there, bonus programs for yourself as a coach, you name it, it's in there. And we have over 50 coaches right now that are helping each other. So we post questions and coaches will work together and provide insight and share information, because that's what it's all about, is coaches getting better. So if you want to check that out, the links are in my bio, the links at the end of this podcast. Check it out there. Gridiron Warrior Insiders.